Dear Swiss members of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, a very warm welcome to the presentation of the Whisky 58.36, Roll with the Punches. As you can see here, we will taste today together a whiskey from the profile Deep, Rich and Dried Fruits. I hope you have your sample or then your bottle in your hands, and I suggest you pour your very first dram so that you can let it air a bit and start sniffing, and maybe we will discover some of these aromas together. When we talk 58.36, we will discover a whiskey from Speyside region that has been distilled 2007 and has a total age of 12 years. But it has been matured in two different casks. The initial cask was a bourbon hogshead, where it spent the first 10 years of his life, and it was transferred then to his final cask, which was a first fill barrique that contained previously Sauternes. If we visit now the Society's website and we go on the distilleries, we can find out that 58 is the distillery called Strathisla, first bottled by the Society 1989. Now, if we think Strathisla and we think new make, we think about aromas that are very floral, very grassy. They recall flavors of hay, fruits like plums, peaches, pears, and it is a rather soft, light, and delicate distillate. When we then think Sauternes, and here let me give you a couple of background information on Sauternes for the ones amongst you that are not also specialized in wines. Sauternes is a sweet wine that comes from the Bordeaux region. It comes from a little place called Sauternes, and it is a place where two rivers join. One has cold water, the other one warmer, which in autumn leads to fog in that area. The fog will then help that mushroom can develop or bacteria can develop on the raisin, which is called Botrytis cinerea. And this will help the raisins to basically turn into almost something looking like sultanas, which leads to a concentration of sugar and aromas in the grape. This is then the base for this wine, which is very rare but rather expensive, very sweet wine, of whom the most internationally known is Chateau d'Yquem. So if we think of sweet Bordeaux wines, we would think more floral, candy fruits, aromas along citrus fruits, and of course something very sweet, something very along the lines of honey. If we went now to just add up the aromas, we would think, well, this whiskey should be very floral, should have a lot of fruits, plums, pears, peaches, candy fruit, citrus fruit, and of course, a sweet honey note. But, ladies and gentlemen, as you have now already surely put your nose and maybe already have taken the first sip of your whiskey, Roll with the Punches is as the name is called. It really punches you. It gives you a lot of very different aromas. A beautiful example of the society's knowledge how to work spirits into bring the very best spirit, the very best cask, and then combine, create something new out of these two different parts. So when we look now at what the tasting panel has discovered, I just go to the more obvious notes that you see here in blue. Heavy punches, smacked of them are sugar, these very concentrate, very deep aromas. But then we have also the wine side, the Pinot Noir. We might have some spiced rum. We have some dessert wines, Tokai, another dessert wines that comes from Hungary. Then new leather boxing gloves going over herbs, wood char, and then even ending up in aromas that gives the memories of Lapsang Souchong, this very famous Chinese smoked tea, and maybe even some licorice sweets. So a lot going on in that dram here. I've tried it both once neat. I've tried it once with adding a couple of drops of water. To me personally, the water is not necessary, brings maybe out slightly more creaminess, but this was just my really personal discovery on this. So please try yourself as well. It is very, very interesting to see. If we now have a look a bit in the surroundings and we go back to a couple of facts and figures on Strathyla, it is one of the most oldest distilleries that exist in Speyside, dating back from 1786 already. It is a very photogenic distillery. I will show you a couple of slides later why, and it is also called the home of Chivas. Here you can see on a map where exactly the distillery is located, in the heart of the Speyside, and here why it is probably one of the most photogenic distilleries with its two pagode roofs. Very beautiful a day. Look here, beautiful blue sky, full spring, early summer. Everything is blossoming, and obviously the distillery has also discovered that photogenicness and has installed beautiful lights for the night. So it is the perfect place also to take pictures at night for a romantic walk past a beautiful distillery in this area. Here, a small picture of the entrance combining the two things, this old establishing date of 1786, along with the one of the most known international blends, Chivas Regal. The distillery is definitely worth a visit. It has a beautiful visitor center. Here we can see some casks at the entrance. You can for sure also visit the whole still house, where you can see the different size stills and shapes. You can for sure also step into the Chivas Regal cellar, and depending what tour you do, also assist at the blending session. Very interesting to see how very different casks have been selected, and you can now sit down yourself and then try to create your own blend by using whiskey that are more floral, more citrusy, more fruit, tea, more creamy, more smoky, and you will find out that by combining them is not just adding on different flavors, but different flavors will interact in a different way together and will create a new sum, so you get a different whiskey at the end. A very interesting experience to do for yourself. Not a picture of this beautiful visitor center. And as many other distilleries have, obviously Strathyla has also a little legend. Here, the small legend about the famous distillery cat Dizzy. Dizzy was reported arriving at the distillery back in 1993, and it arrived in a bourbon cask that came in from America. So the legend says that the cask probably hit in America in the bourbon cask, and then by almost a miracle survived the travel in that cask to the Speyside, where the cask was opened and the cat, although very malnourished and very skinny, was found, but then survived. He was put under quarantine and afterwards was very good mouse hunter in and around the distillery. Whilst you're in Speyside, I can also recommend you to step in to Speyside Cooperage to discover how casks are made. It's a very interesting process to understand and obviously a crucial part of the whiskey industry. Speyside Cooperage is a beautiful visitor center, and it's definitely worthwhile spending. You can see here through a glass front all the workers assembling the casks. As you can see, you don't see many computers, not many high-tech machineries. It is still a very labor-intensive and very hard work to put together casks just out of these various staves. The apprenticeship to get there takes quite a long time until you can put them together, A, fast, and B, in a way that they are completely sealed. You can see here the last check where pressure is put into the cask to make sure that nothing leaks, and only then the coopers are paid for their casks. If not, if a cask would not seal properly, it would go back in production, and the whole process would need to start from the very scratch again. Obviously, this process is not only known to whiskey, also rums and many other distillates and also wines will use casks, different sizes, different contents before, but it is crucial, especially also to the creation and to the versatility of beautiful Scotch single malt whiskey. So in the meantime, I hoped you enjoyed all the information. I hope you had a blast with this very surprising drum that will definitely leave a lasting impression. And I am looking forward to welcome you back soon again when I present you another one or two drums out of our current arrival.